Gassmeyer, and I'm the Director for Data Curation at Legal Tech Hub. I'm joined today by Ray Meiring, CEO of QorusDocs. And today we're going to learn all about QorusDocs and get a little bit demo and see how the product started. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, it's great to be here with you. Thank you.
So to start, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did QorusDocs come from? How did it get to legal tech?
Great. Firstly, as you mentioned, Ray Meiring, CEO of QorusDocs, founded QorusDocs in 2012, actually in Cape Town, South Africa. You probably pick up some accent here. But when we founded QorusDocs, what we were looking to solve for was a generic document generation problem. We saw a need for a document generation tool in the market. But over time, as we were working on that document generation capability, we found one particular area that our customers were especially struggling with when it came to documents, and that's the creation of proposals, pitches, and RFP responses. And so we moved the product in that direction to solve that problem for sales and business development teams, to help them to create pitches and proposals and RFP responses more efficiently and to win more. We were introduced to Thomson Reuters Elite in the mid-2010s, and we partnered up with them, and they introduced us into a number of law firms because we actually started outside of legal. And we were able to develop a number of legal customers through that process, but also to really hone the product in on that problem for law firms. How do business development teams build pitches, respond to RFPs more effectively, and win more? And so we evolved into the legal space, but today it's really our primary market that we operate in, along with several other adjacent verticals as well.
That's so funny because so many people, they start off, they're like, either they're an attorney or they are a developer who've like somehow come in contact with the legal world and they decide, oh, I want to make it better. But you just kind of like accidentally through the back door with Thomson Reuters help got into all these clients and realized, oh, hey, there's this big need here that no one else is solving for that we could solve better. Yeah.
Absolutely. We had the document knowledge to do that, but what we didn't understand is how big the pain point really was in a law firm. Once we could see just how much time was being put into generating and creating these documents, we knew we had to solve that problem. And so we partnered with several of our early law firm customers to get the right tooling in place for them to be able to solve the problem.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I love partnership. Like, it's so helpful when customers really partner with vendors and really help make the product better and help them design what they actually need and want.
Yeah, that was absolutely our experience. And we're so grateful to those early customers who helped us. And today they really benefit from that. Many of them are still big users of QorusDocs, and they benefit from all of the IP that's now in there from our expansive use across this.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your customers. So who uses QorusDocs and exactly how do they use it exactly? So what are the use cases for this product? So like what RFPs are, and because this has got watched by a lot of people. So you know exactly if they don't know what an RFP is.
No problem. So let's maybe start there. An RFP is a request for proposal. So very often in a law firm, they'll receive a request for a proposal from their client, or maybe they're part of a panel, and that's where they get the RFP through. But RFPs contain often hundreds of questions. They need to include biographies and experience and write-ups. And it's a document that helps you to be able to win that deal with that customer. It's very much like a pitch, but just with a lot more intensity to it and rigor and a formal process. So what we help our customers to do is to be able to find the content, write the information into the document very effectively, and then present a very beautiful document at the end of that process that represents the firm's brand to be able to win that business. The key benefit to that is where it could take, as I said, like a month to respond to an RFP in some cases with a lot of different contributors, we're able to reduce that time down quite significantly so that a month turns into a week to be able to do that type of work. And then the folks in business development can focus more on the more relationship aspects of business development versus time spent writing documents and pulling things together.
Yeah. So what makes QorusDocs different from everyone else? What are your special sauce, your bells and whistles that you think people really should learn about?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of big law firms. And what we found in big law firms is that adoption is really critical, and making sure that people can easily become familiar with the tools that they work with. So the first thing is we've really built QorusDocs in partnership with many of our early stage legal customers to focus on the specific problems that law firms have in business development and pitch creation, RFP responses. That's the first piece, and you'll see that in the demonstration. The second piece is that we've built it into the places that everyone works. So it runs directly inside of Microsoft Office. That's where you interact with it, and that's where you go and build your pitch. You don't have to go and learn a whole new web portal. You just go into Word or PowerPoint or Excel and you work there like you naturally would. But we give you tools to be able to function more productively. We're also integrated into a lot of different places where law firms store their content and their data. So marketing content is often stored in a SharePoint library. We might have experience data stored in an experience system, and we may have information stored on a website. We help you pull all that together and be able to use all of that content and that data when you're building your pitch or when you're responding to your RFP. And the last point is artificial intelligence. That's such a key part of what we do. And of course, everyone's talking about it today.
Yeah.
It's like the hot topic right now. But we have this AI capability on top of QorusDocs. And that's taken productivity just through the roof because it's able to do things like find, read, write, and do some of the challenging tasks or the more mundane tasks for you. Again, increasing even that time period from a month to a week, even further down to possibly days to be able to respond to an RFP.
So neat. I'm really excited to see it. Do you want to show us a demo?
I'm really excited to show you this demo. So let me share my screen and we'll go from there. So what we should be looking at, it's come through on the demo, is Microsoft Word.
You know what? We love it.
So everyone's familiar with Microsoft Word and they know how to operate. Now, again, I'll just mention we're in Word, we're in PowerPoint, we're in Outlook, we're in Excel. So I'm going to do it in Word today, but you could be in any one of those environments. QorusDocs installs as an add-in. So you can see it actually pull out on the right-hand side of the screen here. And today we're going to operate it as a fictitious law firm called Schrute & Levinson. And we're going to go through the process of building out a first draft response to an RFP. So let's take that scenario and see how we can do that. Now, the first thing you'll notice, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that we connected to a whole bunch of content sources directly in this Office add-in here. So we've got connections to experience records, people records, capability information, market reports, all that is built directly in here so you can get to it really easily. But let's imagine for a minute that you received an RFP for energy work, energy and sustainability, and you needed to create a response to this RFP very quickly. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my home screen here, and I'm going to go to my favorite content, and I'm going to pull up one of my templates, which is this RFP response template, and I'm going to create a response document. Now, typically when you receive an RFP response, you'll receive the document and have a meeting about that document and discuss how we're going to pitch on this and what are we going to do. And then you want to start with the response process, which is where we are now. But to get started, I'm going to load up the actual RFP document itself. This is the original document. But I'm also going to pull up the call transcript as well that we have for that. I'm just going to find that call transcript there and add that in as well. Here's a call transcript that we had on this energy RFP that we're responding to. I'm going to ask our AI, we call our AI QPilot, to read these documents, to read the call transcript for me as well, and to start building an RFP response document. Now, it's going to take a second to do this, and you'll see these fields start to populate progressively as we're going through here. But it's pulling out executive summary writing, current challenges. It's pulled out all the questions, and it knows information like who's the client and which industry are we in. When I hit the continue button, I'm just going to give this a name, response 55. It's going to go ahead now, and it's going to use all of that AI stuff that it's pulled out there. It's actually going to create me a first draft RFP response, which we'll give it a second, and it'll load up again here in Microsoft Word. So there you can see the first draft response to that document. It's done a couple of cool things here. So it's pulled in, the client name, possibly from a CRM system. It's built out a table of contents. It's used AI to write a draft for executive summary information here so that you know what to do and how to get that executive summary written. It's also pulled through the challenges. It's incorporated content about why Schrute Levinson. So all that kind of cool content there. It's got a section on experiences, the team, and then the answers to questions. So it's given me a baseline. Now, as a human, if I had to do that same task, I'm taking half a day to a day just to get this baseline in place.
Yeah.
But what we want to do next is actually start populating some of these sections and building a little bit more into this document. So let's take this first section. Let's say we want to put in some information here about our experience. Now, typically to do this, I would go and search one of my experience systems if I had an experience system, or if I was storing all of my matters in a different system, I'd have to go and search and find the best representative experience to win this RFP. But with QorusDocs, because we're integrated, I can go across to my experience library over here, and it's going to take a second and it's going to pull up a whole bunch of experience records for me. I'm able to now actually filter that and say, give me everything that is energy and utilities and infrastructure related, apply a filter to that, make the selection that I want, possibly reorder the selection. I want this $1 billion one at the top. I want the $50 million one at the bottom. Decide how I want that to be, and then choose how we're going to output this. Let's put this in tiles or blocks or however we want that, and I'll hit the insert button. And it's actually going to go build a little section for me now that contains all of those records, and it's going to automatically just insert it directly into the document at that point there. We'll give it a second to do that. You can actually see it's happening in the background, and it's built me a whole bunch of tiles with all these experience records in here. Again, from hours to be able to do this into seconds to just make these selections.
No, yeah, and one of the things I really appreciate about this is I love Microsoft Word. I always say I'm the world's biggest Microsoft apologist, but like anytime you do anything other than putting text into Microsoft Word, you are just risking disaster.
Exactly.
The fact that it sets it up for you, that's very nice.
So we set up the templates in the background so it knows all the formatting and the styles and everything. And when you come to use it, just inserts it straight in and generates it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's do another difficult thing. Sometimes you get a lot of questions. Now, this one's a really simple example here of just 8 questions, but we want to be able to find the answers to these questions. And people really spend hours finding answers to even the simplest questions. What's the firm's tax number? So what we're going to do is we're going to ask AI to help us. We're going to go across into what we call QPilot again. Here we're going to load up the chat screen, and we're going to say, let's run a search. And I'm going to just highlight these 4 questions here, and I'm going to say something simple like answer at highlighted text. So I'm going to ask this agent to go and answer the highlighted text, and let's use the About Us section, which maybe has information from our website or from various sources, to go and find the answers to these questions. And within seconds, it's found exact answers to those questions for me by just searching. And here we can see the full name of the firm, Levinson LP. Responded, was founded in 2001. Here's our tax number. Here is our primary office. So within seconds, it found answers to those questions without me having to dig around, call someone, send somebody an email, and so forth. And again, because we're in Office, I could just insert the answers to those questions really easily, and boom, they come into the document here. So it saves a lot of answering questions.
That's the thing. Everyone always talks about generative AI and LLMs of drafting novels and drafting huge documents for you, but sometimes you just need, that's actually very useful for just finding pinpoint information for you.
I need something simple, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do 2 more things. Always that happens in a pitch is a biography that needs to go in there. So we're going to ask QPilot to help us to find somebody in our people, and we're going to say, who has experience in Paris with energy and sustainability? So what it's done is it's come back and it's found in our people area the fact that Mary Ann Bates has experience in Paris with energy and sustainability. So it's searched through all of our people records and it's found this person. So we want to include Mary Ann Bates' resume into this document. But Mary Ann Bates, her resume is pretty generic. So maybe what we do is we get on the phone with her, we get on a Teams meeting, and we interview Mary Ann and say, Mary Ann, share with us a bit more information about your specific experience in energy, anything you'd like to say in your biography, how would you like that presented? So we record that call. Now let's come back into QorusDocs after that call, okay? And we're going to go take a look at some content here. We'll find some content that's relevant to her. And one of the things that's recommended to me on this particular proposal is a tailored resume. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, let's insert a tailored resume into the document here. And this is going to be for Mary Ann Bates. So we'll load up the screen here. And I'm going to say, let's go and use Mary Ann Bates' original resume. And I'm going to pull that call transcript as well from her in there. So here's the call transcript where we had an energy discussion. I'm going to ask it to build me a biography now based on her original personal biography and also the call that we had with her. And I want that to look like Shroot Levinson in its format and its layout and how it comes through. So you can see it's busy pulling that all in. Okay, it's pulling out education. I've got a headshot for her. I'm going to pull that up. So there's Mary Ann's headshot. And I'm going to hit the insert button. Now, what this has done, again, it's taken Mary Ann, all of her information, the call transcript, and it's now tailored her biography, her resume, to the call that we had, to the information that I found in her personal resume. And here we have a beautiful built-out resume that talks to her best experience, her background with energy practices, her international experience. So we've got the perfect bio now to win this deal, all helped through AI to be able to pull it in.
Yeah, I love that you can narrow the story. Like you have to you have the opportunity to point to AI at the right sources. So it's not like it's like searching everything in the various systems within the firm systems. It's no, this document, this call interview. That's 100%. Where we're pulling the information from. But yeah, this is really neat. I like this a lot.
100%. And again, you mentioned the formatting thing earlier. We know that
someone needs just me a day.
Formatting these things, it formats it because it's pulling it into a styled template. It's written it correctly. And it's used, as you said, just the right documents. But you raise a great point. What about quality? Before we send this out, we want to just check that there is nothing in this document that does not represent the firm in the best way possible. And I'm going to go across into a very special area here that we have, which is called Smart Skills. You can think about these like little agents inside of QorusDocs that are going to do important things for you as part of this process. One of those is to do a document review and quality check. So we can use that, but I'm actually going to use a different one. I'm going to use this red flags one. And this one is going to look for any words that are red flags in our firm that we just don't want to incorporate in because they could represent us in the wrong way. Now, when I hit that run skill, you can see it looks like a bunch of code here. It's actually not. This is just a prompt or a series of prompts and documents in here. But it's scanning through the document and it's found vague language, jargon and buzzwords. And what it's telling me is, here's what you said, here's what you should say, instead of using those terms as well. So it does a quality check or a red flag check to make sure that you're absolutely accurate in how you're presenting that firm. Showing again how we're using these kind of agentic processes here to really not just read, not just write, but do a quality assurance of that proposal as well. So I could take you for hours around this thing, Sarah, but I think that is the highlights reel of just us putting together a proposal that is almost fully baked out. And you can see it's got an executive summary, answers to questions, experience, bios.
This is I literally found myself sitting here thinking, I wish I had reason to write an RFP because it was actually very neat the way it just puts everything. I'm very impressed. It made it very easy for anyone to do it if you don't obviously we're in Word, so that is a comfortable format for everyone, but it does all advanced Word that you don't have, most people actually don't know how to do or do well. Exactly. And the fact that it's you can really point it at the right sources so it knows what to do. Yeah, this is a really neat system.
Thank you so much. And I've shown you an RFP scenario here, but of course putting a pitch together in PowerPoint, the same. Putting a capability statement together, it's the same principle as well. We take all of these business development documents and we provide the tool set to help you be able to do that within seconds, again, to focus on winning business versus writing documents.
That is great. I think that was a great place to end, unless you have anything else you want to say. No. That was a real good summary here.
Well, thank you for having me, Sarah. It's been great chatting to you today.
Yeah, once again, I'm Sarah Glassmeyer. I'm the Director for Data Curation at Legal Tech Hub, and I was joined by Ray Meiring, the CEO of QorusDocs, and we had a great time today, I think, learning about how the RFP proposal creation process. Thank you so much.